To mention the chilling voice of Edina police officer Mike Blood after he'd been shot with an assault rifle while responding to a bank robbery. Through never-before-heard recordings of police communications and candid interviews with the officers, tonight Dimension puts you in the middle of a shootout. Here's Trish Van Pilsum.
3,400 cars taking information on a robbery in progress.
The call itself is unusual.
It's Firstar Bank, man in the lobby with a gun.
10 officers race to the bank.
4607 around.
None has ever had to fire their gun in the line of duty.
1051 heading down also.
2 get there first.
Just about getting there.
Officer Shelby Lane, a rookie who by the end of this day will see more than most cops see in a lifetime.
I'm arriving. 3412 and 959.
11 in the area.
And Officer Mike Blood, 29 days from retirement, still into it enough to take a risky call outside of his own zone.
At approximately 9:59, we're both on scene.
A man with a blue coat and a hood carrying a handgun in the bank, and he fled out the back.
If it had been just the handgun, that would have been one thing. But this is a career bank robber with an arsenal in his car. No one knows that yet.
Suspect running behind a shed behind National City Bank.
The handgun, in fact, is all Officer Blood knows about when he spots the suspect already driving away.
I've got him, no plates, a Ford Explorer.
27 seconds later.
Reporting shots fired at the location.
I had no idea if the shots were coming towards me at that time.
We didn't know if anyone had been hurt or anything like that, but we started an ambulance immediately.
Dynamic 2, start towards 6900 block of France.
The next voice you hear will be Officer Mike Blood's.
Officer hit! Officer hit! Officer hit!
In his voice, I knew that he was hurt. You could just tell.
Shots fired.
The part I find most amazing, it's not I'm hit or I'm hurt there, it's officer hit. He's not crying for help at that point. He's letting everybody else know that there's a major threat out there.
I was really concerned because Mike is, you know, he was just in our dispatch center earlier that morning talking about his retirement.
Code 5, 4040 West 70th, officer hit. 4040 West 70th, officer has been hit.
The thing that goes in your mind is, oh my God, is there going to be another cop killed? Is there going to be another funeral?
Sergeant Scott Kuyper hears all this on his squad radio. He's heard other officer down calls before. The difference is, this time, it's someone he knows.
I had just gone on a fishing trip just a week before. He was eating, you know, fish I'd given him, and then next thing I know, I hear him, you know, talking he had been hit. No, you know, this isn't fair.
Back at the bank, Officer Shelby Lane has spotted Blood.
And he was laying face down with his hands up above his head.
Medic 2, affirmative, we have an officer injured.
I lifted up his jacket at that time and noticed that there was blood soaked on the back of his shirt in a hole right here on his left side that was the size of my fist.
She hasn't yet finished a full 8 months on the force, and suddenly she's trying to keep a veteran cop from bleeding to death.
I just stuck my fist in like it was like a glove right into the hole.
We're heading north on Valley View to Gray Explorer.
Seconds after Blood goes down and less than a block away, Officer Bill Moir stops the suspect, or thinks he has.
My first instinct was, all right, felony stop. I'm going to wait for the cavalry to arrive. The guy's given up.
But this suspect is unlike any other Moir's seen.
I'm half in and I'm half out, just firing just like this.
This suspect doesn't flee. He fights.
He's standing out with a scoped rifle and blowing me up.
With the scope, the suspect's aim is exacting.
My car, as it turns out, was hit 5 times.
One round shattered the spotlight just inches in front of his face.
When it happened, I went, man, whatever that was close. I said, you know, and I really remember, I'm sitting there thinking, what in the Sam heck am I doing here?
I mean, when you see the spotlight in relationship to your head.
Me and my wife cry.
Both the suspect and Officer Moir run out of ammunition. Spent casings litter the ground. As Officer Moir reloads, the suspect takes off.
And I thought, all right, that's it. You know, you're not getting away. And I put the car in drive, and it doesn't go. That's it. I'm out of the game.
Went northbound in a Gray Explorer, black male blue. Looks like he's got a rifle. I am hit, incapacitated.
It is the first anyone knows of the rifle, and it changes everything.
This isn't a movie. This isn't, you know, pretend anymore. This isn't even training. This is somebody that is trying to kill people.
Sergeant Kuyper heads right for the suspect's path.
They're thinking, man, if I miss this guy and, you know, he gets away with shooting up my guys, I was going to be really, really angry. And then I saw him.
The suspect had, in fact, just met up with the best shot on duty this day.
No BM, no plates, chase, westbound, 6-6, just passing the pond here.
As we come around the bend up here, I'm going to get my first sight of the suspect and our officer following him.
Then Officer Jim Rigg picks up the chase.
Westbound on 6-6 from where now?
Just going over 100.
Although much has happened, only moments have elapsed. Back at the station,
Copy, officer down at 4040 West 70th, westbound on 6-6, passing 100.
dispatchers are tracking the chase and reassuring officers Lane and Blood that help is on the way.
Officer down. Copy, officer down. There is medics en route.
You sit up tall in your chair and it's showtime.
South on Ridgeview from West 66.
Southbound on Ridgeview from West 66, 1003. State Patrol's been advised.
Either you're going to make it or you're going to break it. And it may sound like it's easier said than done, but it's the truth. There's no time to panic.
We're now coming into a strictly residential area.
You can see him fishtail around. He doesn't make the turn.
He spun out here and his Firestone Wilderness AT tire came off the rim.
And then I come over about right in here, approximately, and stop my car. He's crosswise in the road ahead of me here, about 15 feet or so, and he gets out. I tell dispatch he's getting out of the car and running. That's typically what happens.
Party's now on foot, Ridgeview and 66.
I'm about ready to chase him on foot. I don't want to let him get too big a jump.
Again, the suspect doesn't do what most suspects would.
I'd gotten out like this and it saw that he had a rifle, and I knew that this wasn't going to be sufficient cover.
Rigg was yelling at him. We were getting no response.
Sergeant Kuyper is just off to my left over here. We both yell out, he's got a gun, it's a rifle, it's a rifle.
I didn't give him a chance to bring the rifle all the way up to his face. He started to bring it up like this. About the time the scope got to his chin, I opened fire because I wasn't going to wait for him to get any type of bead on me.
I saw that I needed more cover. I came around this side and started to fire.
I immediately opened fire on him through his passenger window.
Flash fired here, flash fired here.
He then ducked down.
The suspect was reloading, leaving Kuyper only the smallest of targets.
All I could see was the top half of his head through the window I had shot out, so I fired at that.
It was target enough.
Copy, shots fired, Ridgeview and 66. Shots fired, Ridgeview and 66.
And I moved kind of in a crouched around my car. His car's right here. Came around the front of his car, and his door was open, and did a couple of quick peeks and saw that he was laying out flat on the ground.
Copy, do you need medics at 66 and Ridgeview?
3407, we're code 4, get the medics here now.
We were code 4, mean we're okay. We need an ambulance for the suspect.
Pulse on the suspect, pulse on the suspect.
1 minute you're chasing him as fast as you can and the adrenaline's pumping, and then in the next minute you got to start treating him like a patient.
Medic 2.
Your ETA?
About the same time the suspect goes down, medics get to Officer Blood.
On the scene.
Only 7 minutes have passed since the first robbery call, 5 minutes since the first shots were fired. But in those minutes, lives changed forever.
When I pulled up on the scene and I first saw Officer Shelby Lane sitting there, the only officer on the scene, and she had blood on her hands, and she's keeping it together because she's having a tough time.
I felt like I was gonna break down and either cry or, you know, I just had to step back and take a deep breath inside and kind of just, you know, just absorb what had just happened, because it felt like, you know, you're waking up from a bad dream or something.
At the time, it was all training, all reacting as though on autopilot. Only later would it hit them.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I got upset, you know, I cried. All pretty kind of standard stuff I found out later, you know, for going through a stressful incident.
There was nobody on the face of the earth luckier than me that day.
Maybe luck was with them all. Or maybe it had more to do with their composure under fire.
I am hit, incapacitated. Officer hit! Officer hit!
Because in some ways, they were all under fire that day.
Officer's been hit.
For Dimension, I'm Trish Van Pilsum.
Bank robbery suspect David White died at the hospital. Officer Mike Blood survived and is slowly recovering from as many as 5 gunshot wounds.